Welcome to Airgun Extra, brought to you in association with Crackshot, the Southwest's premier airgun centre and ranges. In this week's episode, I'm taking a look at some awesome exploding targets, but before that, I'm out for a night on the rats. Right, well what you've just seen is a roundup of some of my shots from a recent visit to this farm just a couple of days ago. There are lots of rats moving in now. Most of the crops have been taken in, and that means that the rats are moving into the yard in search of food and shelter. So I'm expecting that we're going to get quite a few this evening, and in fact we've already heard a few on the move. Now I don't want to waste too much time talking about the kit, save the main item, which this evening is the Hikmicro Alpex 4K Lite digital day and night scope. Now, as regular viewers will well know, I've had a great time using this scope over the past few months. It's a terrific piece of kit. Now, I'm actually going to use it on slightly higher mag than I normally would for this sort of shooting tonight, just to give you some idea of its brilliant image quality. Now, I've only got my own illuminator on here, but do check out the Scott Country website for their IR bundle, which they do. So I think it's called a blackout bundle, and that is the 4K light with a decent illuminator and an all-important angle adjustable mount, so you can get it properly aligned. Going from memory, I think that's about £700, maybe a little bit less. So yeah, brilliant value. Have a look at the Scott Country website. As I said, didn't want to talk too much about the kit, but one thing I will just stress is the brilliant daytime performance of this scope. I think a lot of people regard them as being night vision tools only, but I've been blown away with this one in daylight. Using it for live quarry shooting, I've used it for grey squirrel control. It's been great for that. For popping targets, I've just had an absolutely great time, and obviously you've got the benefit of the ballistic calculator that just keeps you bang on aim. So that's as much as I'm going to say about the kit for now. As I've already said, we've heard rats moving, so we're going to get settled in and hopefully shoot a few. Well, I had to be pretty patient to get the shot that I wanted with that one. It was a close one too, which meant a lot of holdover, but with the ballistic calculator on this scope, obviously the holdover was worked out automatically for me. To take advantage of that ballistic calculator, obviously you need an accurate setup. Tonight I'm using my Daystate Huntsman Revere Safari edition. It's a gun that I've got absolute faith in. Really nice little multi-shot PCP. Ammo wise, I've paired it with JTS dead center pellets. Now they're really nice, consistently made pellets. A lot of my air guns shoot well with them. This one's a 2.2 sub 12 foot-pounds, and it really likes the 16 grain version. It's nice and accurate with them, and as you can hopefully see, they hit hard too. That's another rat from that corner of the barn. Now when I was here previously, that was actually a bit of a hot spot over there. It's a bit quieter tonight, and I'm not too surprised because that area has had quite a pounding now. I think the reason that it was very busy there is that there are turkeys being reared just on the other side of that wall, and I imagine the rats are going back and forth to pinch the turkey feed. In fact, one thing that I should probably point out is the fact that the farmer's got quite a loud radio that's left on there with the turkeys. I don't think it's to keep them company. I think it's in the theory that it will scare foxes and other predators away. But yeah, so if you hear a bit of strange music in the background, that's the radio that's in with the turkeys. And another thing that I'm very aware of, it's incredibly dusty in this barn tonight, so our kit is probably getting caked in dust. That one looked like it was about to start tucking into its mate. That is a very accurate shot though. I could see through the scope that it looked like it struck it right between the eyes. Now, as I've said, this Huntsman Safari is a very accurate little air gun, and in terms of keeping it stealthy, I've got the Eagle Vision Cam Helia moderator on here, and it's a very effective silencer, and one that I've been using on a few of my guns recently. Now it's probably quite deceptive in here. Firstly, we've got quite a sensitive mic on the camera, but also it's quite a tinny building. The acoustics are terrible, so it may not sound as quiet as it really is, but take my word for it, it is a very effective sound suppressor, and it even has caliber specific inserts to make it even more effective, and it really does do the job. Well, it looked as though that one flopped down into exactly the same crater as the previous one. Now, we have actually had a bit of activity around those metal sheets this evening, but it's really slowing down now, so I think I'm going to let Nikki head off soon. It's getting very, very late now. It will probably look to you like we've been out and shot a load of rats in about 10 or 15 minutes, but trust me, it's taken a few hours. So what I'm going to do is take a bit of a breather, have a brew, but I'm then going to head back out, probably target a different area of the farm, and if I do shoot a few more rats, which I certainly hope I will, we will edit those onto the end as usual. I always enjoy getting out on the rats at this time of year. Right then, next up, I'm taking a look at some epic exploding targets from Flare. What you've just seen is me shooting one of these flare targets, which certainly bring another dimension to target shooting with an air gun. So with their bang and a visual treat, there really is no missing a direct hit with these targets. And best of all, they're really simple to use as long as you follow a few easy steps. Made in the UK by Premium Targets and distributed by John Rothery Wholesale, they're available in different configurations with different size targets and different noise levels. Now, pricing is nice and simple, and all of the target packs featured in this video have a recommended retail price of $9.95. In terms of their design, flare pyrotechnic targets are simply a flat disc that explode when you shoot them. Now, they're very, very simple to set up. They have a sticky patch on the back, which you use to stick them to your chosen backdrop. As a basic rule of thumb, the harder the backdrop you use, the better the effect when you shoot them. Steel targets work brilliantly, and that's the backdrop that I've been using for most of my testing. So let's kick off with the Flare Whisper, and that is the yellow one. Now this one is low noise, which is really handy if you're shooting somewhere where you don't want to make too much of a din. So I've been sent it in 38mm to test, and that's a pretty sensible sized target and still relatively substantial should you want to push it out to longer ranges. Now, it's quite difficult to capture the audio and visual effect of these targets on camera, but we'll show you nonetheless. This is what happened when I shot this one. Right then, so next up we've got the Flare Sniper, and that is the orange one. Now I was sent these in packs of 10 for testing, and they included 38mm targets and also a 25mm option. And I can see that smaller one being handy, perhaps if you aren't able to push it out to such extreme range. Now again, these go off with a real audio and visual treat. So here's what happened when I shot the Flare Sniper. When it comes to noise levels, the Sniper is your middle ground, but the one to go for if you want a really loud bang is the Flare 45L. These are red, they really are loud, and I imagine that that L denotes the fact that they are loud. So I was sent these in packs of 5. As the name suggests, it's a 45mm target, and I think that larger size is a good idea because you're very likely to be shooting these over a more significant distance. As ever, it's difficult to capture exactly what these targets do on camera and to do it justice, but here's what it looked and sounded like when I shot the Flare 45L. You're always going to need card or paper targets for tasks like zeroing and pellet testing. Now, the place for these is when you just want to add something more exciting to your target shooting. Maybe having one on a target at extreme range at the end of a course. Now, I think they could also be brilliant for making target shooting more exciting when introducing newcomers to the sport. I certainly reckon they'll quickly get hooked on the buzz of hitting these. I've had great fun shooting these targets with my mates, usually putting them out at really, really long distance and seeing who can hit them first. And you'll certainly know when that happens. One useful tip if you've got the larger versions and want to make them more challenging but can't put them out at extreme distance is to maybe try fastening them to the kill zone of a steel target that either has a small hole that you have to shoot through in the first instance, or even a reducer, just to make it that little bit more challenging. These are really impressive targets, I'm sure you will agree. Now do remember to familiarise yourself with the safety instructions before you start using them. It's all the usual stuff. Minimum shooting distance is 10 meters, and if you're not shooting them at much more than that, you'll probably want to consider wearing eye and ear protection. Do also be considerate about where you're using the louder ones. That's a quick look at flare targets, a great way to add an extra dimension to your airgun target shooting. And that bang and clear visual indicator also means that spectators won't fail to notice when a pellet hits the mark. Simple and highly effective, they're just great fun to shoot.
The Great British Shooting Show, held on the 13th to the 15th of February 2026 at the NEC Birmingham. Book tickets online at shootingshow.co.uk.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week, but as ever, we'll be back with more in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks also to Crackshot. There's a link to their website in the show description. As I said, we're back with more in a fortnight. Until then, there's lots for you to catch up on our website, airgunextra.com. We've got hunting and review articles free to read on there. So, until next time, enjoy your shooting and stay safe.